Just injury update. Dan's getting further evaluation on his knee. Tuttle's getting for the evaluation for concussion. And then Lloyd is further evaluation on his foot. So those are the 3 injuries. Good there? Okay, I'll just say that, it was, once again, Chim just takes this team to another level with a big play like that. What he did to energize the sideline, the stadium. It's great to see him do what he does on a weekly basis, and that's the plays you need to turn. And that's what it did in that game. It energized everybody, and you saw what we did after that. It's an individual performance and the blocking too with that group. It's unbelievable, and it's great to see it. And that there's too many things during the game that we didn't do enough. Plays, the second series of the game with the penalties, things like that. A couple stops on defense where we just got to be more consistent because these guys fought their tails off once again up to the very end. So, but got to be more consistent throughout a game.
It seemed like that, just looking at it at face value, that Cam was pretty poised back there for the duress that he was under in a drop-back game down 20 most of the time.
I love the way Cam played today. That was, you see the competitor, the ability to make plays. I mean, you guys have asked, since day one about him making plays with his feet and the way he moved in the pocket at certain times during the game and just competed his tail off. And some of the plays that he made, the wow plays, the scrambles, I'm sitting there, saying one thing, and next thing you know, here's a big play that he makes. But just, it's taken that next step, and that's what he's done. And we've been saying it from day one, the way he competes, the way he works every day. When we first came in, in the off-season program, the early mornings, staying late, things like that, it's starting to pay off. And we've said it all along, as a young quarterback in this league, it takes some time, and it's great to see the improvements that he's making week in and week out. And there's the ups and downs. We're going to turn the film on tomorrow and look at some things. We'll clean it up and say, hey, you got to do these things better. But just the command of the offense and some checks that he made during the game, I really like the way he played today.
Do you take any encouragement at all? Titans lost a lot of games this year by fairly significant point spreads. The last 3 games, all one score. Do you take any encouragement at all from?
I just love the way the guys compete. They just keep going. They fight their tails off. It's been that way the entire time. The way they work, the week of preparation, the little details, the fine focus they had in practice this week. We got to find a way to make more plays consistently and not hurt ourselves at certain times of the game, like the second series. The first drive of the game. Well, that's a phenomenal way to start against a really good defense. The plays that we're making, the efficiency, going down there, getting points to start the game, that's awesome. But then you come around the next series and you have a number of penalties. And those are the things against a good football team you have to avoid.
It seemed like you guys converted a couple of really key third and fourth downs today. A lot of that going to the tight ends and coming out of the slot. Was that something that you guys saw on tape, or is that something that you guys were working on in practice and decided to implement today?
Well, as we talked about coming out of the bye week, that was one of the things we said was a big focus is third down. And it's players making plays. And that's, I think, I don't know the numbers. I haven't looked at a stat sheet. So I don't know exactly what we were, but I think there's a number of big plays with guys just going out there and making plays, and that's what the game's all about. I think, a lot of that has to do with Cam, with his feet making plays, and then guys, creating separation against a good defense. So, happy with those guys making the plays and the conversions. And
you had 7 fourth downs. You converted 5 of those.
What do you think? It's pretty good. That's pretty good, right?
Now, it's been a hot topic.
Yeah. You think so? It's been hot?
Oh, yeah.
It's been hot with who? With who?
But
With who?
the question is,
I had a couple play calls too. We could call this place. No, we named them special. Go ahead.
What I want to ask you, though, all jokes aside, is were you guys making that decision to go for it a lot earlier in the process as opposed to?
I'm going to give you this. We've answered this question a number of times, and you get in the flow of a game. You do certain things. There's a certain aggression you take at times, and you go for it. You do the flow of the game, and there's certain times, and when I don't do it sometimes and it doesn't work, or it turns the other way, I kick myself in the ass at times. You lose sleep over it. But we went in there with the approach we were going to take, the aggressive approach that we wanted to have, and the players executed for the most part. Not the entire time. There was the one, that we did not get in there that was critical. But it's, give them all the credit in the world for executing it.
That early 4th and 1 that got stuffed, did that give you any doubt or hesitation?
Well, I knew it was coming. I knew I was going to come in here and you guys were going to ask a bunch of questions on it. So, no, we got to execute better. We were aggressive in the 3rd and 1. We had a good matchup with Gunner that we thought could be a big play in that situation. They made a good play on it, and then we went back. We got it. But those are the things I'm telling you earlier that we gotta convert those things. That's how you win games. When the critical times, there's critical. You don't know when it's going to be. You don't know first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, sometime the fourth quarter. You've got to make those plays. You got to somehow dig down deeper and just convert it. Or we got to just find a way to get done.
Did it feel liberating to finally go on some of those and to get some results?
Oh, I've done it plenty of times in my career, so but it was great. I knew it's going to put a smile on your face. I knew that for sure, for a fact. I knew it. You were the first person I thought of when we converted. It's like, oh, I can't wait to see him. I don't have to listen to him on Monday anymore. It's not that, question all week long, but it's great. But I love it. These guys played their tails off. They really did. I love this football team.
What do you feel that Restrepo did in his first opportunity?
There's some plays. I asked Cam last night what the over-under was, or I shouldn't say that, but that way. But I said, how many balls is he going to catch? And, he made his comment, and I'm like, okay. Wish every receiver caught that many. But, I think I'll watch the tape and really look at it and see. I know there's a couple ad-libs in there. But just, I'd say this. All those guys, Strep, Pro, and Mason, to where they were at the beginning of the season, and you see how hard they worked every single day to help our defense. And then when they would fill in offensively, because they never knew, and, obviously Mace and Pro had been up before, this and that, but it's just, that's what this game is all about, making the most of your opportunities, especially a young player like him, that he got an opportunity to finally dress today and goes out there, makes some plays, and it's just, you feel, that's what it's, I'm so happy for those guys because you get rewarded for all the hard work, and that doesn't always happen in this business. You depend on what team you're on and the injuries and all those things come into place, and then, see some of the linemen come in today. We had 2 guys go down, and next thing you know, here comes 2 other guys that step up, and that's the way it's been the last couple of weeks, and we just keep going up and down the field at certain times, and it's just, that's the reward, and that's what I keep telling you guys. I love this football team. I love the way they work. They're unselfish. They love playing together. But it's about winning, and we got to find a way to make more plays to win one of these games.
Just a quick follow-up, if I could. The ad-lib stuff, there's clearly something with Cam and Restrepo there. Can that be a benefit to you guys moving forward, given that those situations will happen?
They probably have something in their helmets communicating with each other, talking back and forth. I think it's just Cam's probably throwing more balls to him than anybody else. So I think that if you looked at the sideline a couple times. I looked back there one time, and it was like, Strep was there, like right in his ear, sitting on the corner of the bench and just talking to him. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. But that's the relationship they have, and they've had a lot of success playing together. I think it's just great to see them playing at this level together. Just pleased with the 2 of them and the way they work. And really, what you love about them, too, is the love for the game. Strep really, he loves the game of football, and you guys deal with him all the time, but just the way he approaches it, he's unselfish, and, he was told what he needed to do to kind of continue his development with the kicking game and things like that, and once we told him that, he was in there, living in there to try to figure a way because he has a burning desire to get out there like he did today.
Mike, the challenge defensively of trying to defend a guy like Jackson Smith and Jigba, he had a season high today.
He's going to make plays. He's one of the best in the business. Look at the numbers all week in and week out. I'm good friends with Clint Kubiak. We worked together in Denver, and his dad coached me way back in '95 in Denver, so I've known the family for a long time. So Clint and I were talking, and it's like, what a special player he is. Some of the things you watch, and, you watch the 3rd down conversion they've had this year, some of the throws that Sam makes to him, it's like, he's a special player. And it's like you don't see many guys like that make some of those conversions in tight, great coverage. It's like, where else you want the defender to be? The corner, and here he is. They're making these plays. So, but a very explosive player, and you got to try to minimize, they're going to make their plays, but you just got to try to minimize the number of.
Easily supplemented things.
If you look at the two like super explosives we had, it matters like to get him matched up with a safety.
Yeah.
Was that something like you guys expected, or was that something new, different from what you've seen?
Well, they're always, that's the game of football. You're always going to try to get a matchup. You're always going to say, hey, where can you go? Who can you attack? How are you going to do it? But that's every week. I think there's always going to be matchups. And I think Clint does a great job of that, having obviously watched all the defensive cut-ups and things like that. That's what they do. They're going to try to get the matchups formationally, shifts, motions, and try to create those opportunities for you. And that's what
Cam obviously supplemented the run game, but what's going on with the running backs?
we got to be more efficient. I got to watch the tape, to be honest with you, because I don't have in my role now, I don't always communicate as much every single play with the offense, and I'm talking the defense, I'm talking with Bones, things like that. So, I'll have a better answer for you tomorrow after I watch the film and really evaluate to see it. 'Cause I'm not looking at the iPads as much anymore, things like that.
You talked about the DK return, and I know you got to watch the film, but how did that kind of play out through your vantage point?
Well, I love it. It's gotten the end. It's explosive play. We talked about it all week long. The way he just went, ran all the way across the field, down the sideline, and just the awareness of players to keep the blocks legal, knowing the opportunity that we had. And then there was one guy left, and it was just it's just a young player energizing the franchise and the fans. So happy for him. But just great execution. Bones and Stu do an outstanding job putting the plans together, and the players did an outstanding job of executing. I think the one thing, too, give the players, all the guys, the other 10 guys, all the credit in the world, but when you have a special returner like that, it makes you want to do your job that much better, because you don't want to come in on Monday morning and look at the tape and say, I was the one that missed that one little. It doesn't take a lot, and because he makes the first guy miss often, and then he does what he does.
Like two young defensive backs that have stepped into big roles so far for you, and Marcus and Kevin made some pretty key plays today. They weren't good with their fair share of plays.
Yeah.
But it seems like they stepped into those roles and kind of solidified them a little bit for you. Can you speak to them and how they played today?
They've done an outstanding job, and there's going to be, with all young players, rookies, there's going to be a developmental part, a growth part, some growing pains, things like that you're going to go through. And I think I've heard the coaches a number of times say, don't make the same mistake twice. You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to get beat. I mean, like the question about 11, a special player, he's going to make some plays. It's just you learn from it. I think the great thing with Kevin is Hook's back there with him to help him and to lead. And so that's the big thing, is the more they play together on the back end, the communication part of it is a lot better. And I think both the players, they're starting to recognize things a lot quicker. And it's not, you learn, not just playing part of it, but, the week of preparation. How you watching film, looking for keys, all those little things. And that's just being a young player, but they've got very, very bright futures. So you love the way they work. You see the way they work in practice, and, give the coaches credit for the success those two have had. They've done a phenomenal job of helping these guys get to where they are. And there's a lot of football left, so I just look for them to get better as time goes on.
Disappointing, but how do you feel you progressed today as a basketball player overall?
The only thing that matters is the win or loss, so that sums it up. But it's just really the biggest thing with us offensively, we got to be better in the middle of the games. Continue to have just penalties, from just us as a group. So that's the biggest thing that we gotta harp on, we gotta focus on.
Going right when you guys were productive and scoring, and maybe what went wrong to keep you from being able to be consistent on offense?
I think what was going right was just everybody playing on time. Myself getting the ball out, receivers winning in man coverage and zone, knowing where to sit. O-line did a fantastic job, just in run game and in pass protection. I just think where it went wrong was just the penalties, self-inflicted wounds, and that's unfortunately what just continues to happen.
How much did Chim's 90-yard punt return provide a spark for you guys in the second
It helped us a lot. That's an all-pro right there, Chim. So it's special to have him just as a teammate, but just know him off the field. The way he takes care of himself, his everyday routine, what he does to be a pro. So everything that's going right for Chim, he deserves it. And I'm glad he's able to get 2 touchdowns today.
Last week, it made it seem like your running lanes and stuff were created largely from the way the Texans rushed. I don't imagine you got exactly the same looks today and stuff, but you still found room to run. It seems like a trend now. What helped you find that stuff again today?
Just feeling the pocket, getting better at, and just knowing where I need to set up every play, and then also being able to play, on time and have a clock in my head to get the ball to my playmakers, or whether I need to, scramble around. But I just got to continue to, do what I need to do to help the offense, be successful.
Peter said that your touchdown run was actually designed to be a flip to somebody, and then you just took it upon yourself to see the opening and go. Is that right?
Yep.
Can you take us through it?
I really had my mind made up on what I wanted to do. That's really give the ball to Chig, but the end crashed down. And really I just had to, make a play to make up for what I did wrong, and we ended up scoring.
When you talk about that clock in your head getting stronger and getting better in the pocket, how do you think you've been able to do that? Why do you think you've been able to do that? What do you kind of owe the success in the pocket and timing to?
Just really all the work we do in the facility. Coach Bo, Payne over there helped me out, Nick. So, all the guys, we all, do a part in, trying to do his best for myself to, help put the team in a good situation. And I just say just continue to watch in the pocket on film, work with my quarterback coach, just on days I can, and, just trying to be better, every day I can.
You were rolling to your right. Go ahead, Nick. You go ahead.
It's back here, Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
How long have you been working on that, trying to develop the running this year?
What part? Say it again.
How long, when you talk about the timing and, trying to have the clock and all of that stuff, how long this season have you started to focus on that in your running ability?
I focus on every game. I think the biggest part about watching the rush, whether it's the D tackle or defensive end rush, is how much width they can get, but also, not putting my tackles in a bad situation to where they give up an easy sack that will end up being on me. So I just think it just takes countless hours of watching just how you think it ends up in the game, but also watching about how it could end up. So you just got to watch different situations.
The play where you roll to the sideline, threw back to your left to find Xavier, is that something you guys have done many times in the past? And what was it like having him back out there with you?
Yeah, we've done that before. We work it, and it was great to have him on the field with me. Someone who I have a good bond with on and off the field. And he made a couple plays for us. I know some plays that he wish he wanted back. But every time, he steps on the field, he always comes with the same mindset as he does practice. And I think that's, having him on the field is going to help our receiving core, and then along with the other guys who played well today.
You mentioned the work you guys do after practice. He said sometimes you have him run it over and over and over again. What are some of the things where you tell him that it is a reason why you got to have that repetition, whereas there's times where he feels that it's right, but you don't?
Because from a quarterback sense, whether a receiver's tired or not, I'm a quarterback who I wanted full speed. That's how, I just go about my business. Especially at the end of practice, I just think the more you can do outside of, just mandatory practice stuff, that's the things that's going to end up helping you, each and every week.
You've been kind of been pushing for maybe some more fourth down attempts. What did you think of the number that you guys went for today and how you converted? I think it was 5 of 7.
It's just the situation that we put ourselves in. We had to go for those 4th downs just because we were trailing. But I'm a competitor. If we're backed up 4th down, 4th inches, I want to go for it. I want to always have the ball, in my hands and the offensive line hands up front. And they're going to continue to lead the way. So, just us being, successful on 4th down today, just something that we got to continue to trend upwards in.
Cam, the number of rookies that are contributing on this team is kind of, the roll keeps going up for both you and other guys. Even in spite of the record, how much hope does that give you for where this is all headed?
Well, it gives a lot of hope because we know the problems, and we're fixing the problems. But at the end of the day, a lot of stuff is only one person can control. Whether that's myself in my position or a defensive guy at their position, every person has that right to control it, and that's that's the biggest thing is trying to flip the switch now. Trying to, get a couple wins, to get us a little jump start. But I just think, the rookies, the draft class we made was a pretty good draft class. And, we can continue to and try to get better.
Was that a no-look pass you hit to Gunner when you were going left back to right?
Yep. And Gunner, he did a good job not running, just sitting in the zone. But, I'm glad he caught it.
How much trust do you have to have for a no-look pass? How much confidence, I guess, do you have to try that in the NFL and have it pay off?
You just got to prepare the right way every week to attempt stuff like that. Watch a certain amount of film. Even before the game, you got to watch film just to, you know it, and when it happens in the game, you can kind of control stuff. And Gunner, he's one of those guys who's real savvy in space. He knows where to get to. He knows what I'm thinking all the time. He made a great catch.
Obviously, some positive moments in this game. As you mentioned, you didn't win. What's the balance or the line where you want to take some pride in improvements and good things happening, but acknowledging that it's just not good enough?
The only thing I would say is just it's a loss. And we have to continue to try and win games, but dig ourselves out of the hole that we're in. But at the end of the day, we get better every week, and we got to emphasize, getting better now, getting better faster. And that starts tomorrow, so we just got to continue to get back to work and, try to win next week.
You guys' offense was on the field for almost a quarter longer than Seattle. So in talking about those types of improvement, what does that say about how you guys are figuring out how to sustain drives and stay out there?
Well, I just think it means we didn't do enough. We didn't score enough points to win the game. And, having the ball for a long period of time really means nothing if you don't score points. So, we just got to finish drives with kicks, finish drives with 6 points, put Joey Slye out there a couple more times, and, find ways to, help defense out and win some games.
Jim's the only guy outside of you who has more than 2 touchdowns this year for the offense. What is the fix to that to get more guys to kind of involved in that scoring, you think?
I think the fix would be just everyone taking accountability. Everyone in the facility, myself, and we know we got a lot of things that we got to fix. But I just think the more we continue to play team football like we have been, and continue to push each other every day and make plays in practice so it shows up in the game, I think by next week we'll be able to score a couple more points.